What is going on? My name is Mike, and today I wanted to give you an in-ride review of the new Triumph Tiger 1200 Rally Pro. Now, this is a bike that I think is probably the best large ADV bike on the market right now, including all competitors like the BMW 1250 GS. Now, I know a lot of the purists will say, oh, the 1250 GS is the best ADV, will always be the best, and it may have been, but Tiger has done a lot of work to improve the Tiger line, and now this bike really goes pound for pound, and I think surpasses the 1250 GS in a lot of ways. So I initially wanted to go with the Tiger 900, but when I went to the dealership, they did not have a 900 to test ride. What they did have is this 1200 that I'm on right now, and it was a demo bike that was ridden by the dealership owner for a few months prior to being listed for sale. I got lucky because he put about 1,000 miles on this bike, did the break-in service, all the oil change, everything, and I still have the full warranty and everything on this bike. So let's talk about what improvements Triumph was able to make on the Tiger between the previous generation and the current generation. And I'm going to start with the important thing is the design. So the prior Tiger weighed probably around 600 pounds, according to manufacturer's information. The current Tiger is listed on their website at around 549 pounds. Now that is a significant weight loss for a bike of this size. They were able to accomplish this by going with an aluminum frame and even went with a lithium battery to shed even more weight. What this allows is for a much more agile and sleek bike on the road, and it's much easier to handle in corners and at speed. In fact, I'd probably say this is a sporty ADV, if anything. And I'll show you some curvy roads coming up later in the ride. You can judge for yourself, but I think it's pretty fantastic what they were able to do with the weight saving. The next thing I wanted to mention was the height of the bike, which I think may be problematic for some riders. I'm about 6 feet tall, and I'm on the balls of my feet when I'm at a standstill. So you'd probably have to be around 6'2" with, greater than a 34-inch inseam to comfortably flat-foot this bike at a standstill. But from what I was reading yesterday, Triumph actually came out with a new upgrade to its semi-active Showa suspension, which allows the active preload to change its slope speeds automatically so that your bike sits almost an inch lower when you're coming to a stop. So I haven't done this upgrade yet, and I can go to a dealer and get this upgraded, and they said it's free of charge, just pay labor fees, which I probably will do, but it will allow you to more comfortably control your bike when you're at a standstill. Because I know that's a big concern for a lot of riders is, will this bike topple over when you're at a stop sign? I mean, once you're at speed, this bike is fantastic. It's high riding position, excellent visibility. That actually leads into a good discussion of the suspension here. This comes with a really high-end Showa suspension. It's starting to rain, it looks like. That's all right. So suspension, we're going to go over some bumps now, and I'll show you what I mean. So we're going about 50 miles an hour right now. And this bike, you just don't even feel these speed humps coming over. So let me try to bump this up to about 60. Let's see how it does over these bumps here. I mean, super smooth, super high travel, very smooth suspension. And this is an all electronically adjustable suspension, semi-active suspension. So it's really sensing to the moment the road conditions and adjusting accordingly. Now, with this suspension, you also have a great electronics package that features a ton of riding modes. I can show that right now. Alright, so right now we're on road mode, which has its own anti-lock brakes, mapping, and traction control mapping. And the suspension is medium, kind of normal, in between sporty and comfort at 5 out of 9. You can scroll through the modes and see that there's a sport mode, which tightens up the suspension, and a rider adjustable mode so you can really tune in to the settings that you want. There's also a rain mode, which drops the suspension to more of a comfort level, a 2 out of 9, and adjusts the ABS for more stability. This also changes the throttle settings and allows for a less twitchy throttle response in the rain so that you don't accidentally give it too much throttle and spin that back tire. Let's go on this road here. 2 additional riding modes which you can't access while riding are the off-road mode, which allows for off-road riding, obviously, and an off-road pro mode. The two main differences between the off-road and the off-road pro mode is the anti-lock brake and traction control settings. So when you're in the regular off-road mode, it turns off the anti-lock brakes to the rear tire, so you have more control over that rear tire. However, you still have a diminished ABS functionality of the front tire, so you don't lock up your front by accident on a gravel road and topple over. Now, the off-road pro mode, which I have not tried yet because I'm not an off-road pro rider, and I don't actually spend much time off-road, it completely shuts off the ABS to both the front and the rear and turns off the traction control. So if you're an experienced off-road rider, you really get a great feel of the motorcycle of both the front and the back wheel, so you can use that mode when you're in your off-road stages. So I've only taken this off-road a few times, and I've done a few gravel roads, a few dirt roads, and the kind of stability and control that I felt with the off-road mode was fantastic. Now, the only negative to these modes is that you cannot change to the off-road or off-road pro mode on the fly. So you have to completely stop your motorcycle and then change to those two modes, which is a little frustrating because if you're in an area with hybrid roads, you know, some paved roads like this, and then switch to gravel or dirt, it gets a little challenging to constantly stop whenever you switch road conditions. So let's see, we are stuck behind a sewage truck. Let's see if we can get around at some point. So anyways, yeah, with those modes, I wish they had made it accessible during your ride for the off-road stuff, but I kind of understand why, because the bike has to reset and turn off the ABS and the traction control accordingly. So that's something that I wish they could do in the future, but we will see. Alright, now that we were able to pass that sewage truck, I can keep talking about this excellent Triumph Tiger. Now, back to the electronics. We haven't finished talking about that. They upgraded to a 7-inch color dash display, which is phenomenal. Super crisp, super bright, really highly visible in all conditions, and also very customizable. So you can change how your speedometer looks like from their menu. This also allows complete Bluetooth connectivity. You can connect your phone, you can connect your GoPro, you can connect your communication system for two riders. It's really excellent, the electronics options that it offers. Another super electronics component is their cruise control. And this cruise control is easily accessible by a single button on your left thumb side. And you set it, activate it by pressing the set button downwards, and then set it by pressing that same button, and you can completely let go of the throttle. So it also adjusts by the mile, so you can click up and click down depending on traffic conditions. So if you see a bit of a slowdown, you can click down a few miles an hour. If the traffic accelerates again, you can click up a few miles an hour. It really gives your throttle hand a nice break when you're traveling long distance on the highways. So let me show you an example of that. So right now we're in third gear going 42. Click the set button, click it again, hands off the throttle completely, going free, going 42 miles an hour. We want to increase it a little bit. You click up. Now we're going 44 miles an hour. Super easy. Still no need to touch the throttle on that. And you deactivate it by lightly touching the brake, and there you go. Really fantastic, very easy to use. Super feature with their electronics is everything is backlit. So all the buttons on the handlebars have this nice red color at nighttime, so you can see all the buttons very easily. And I think that's a super nice feature, because if you don't memorize where everything is, you can quickly look down, see it easily at night, and press what you need to do without taking your eyes off the road too much. Alright, let's get over to this way. Now we can change the mode to sport in a little bit. I've been in road this whole time just to kind of show you the standard mode that you might be in most of the time. Now let's talk about the engine a little bit. This is a 1200cc, 147 horsepower engine that gives you 95 pound-feet of torque. It's got great power, great torque, and what they did with the inline triple is they changed the firing order to a 1-3-2. So what they did with that is gave it a little bit more control and torque in the low rev ranges while still having the benefits of the triple at the higher rev ranges. In fact, when you're in the low RPM range, it's got kind of a grunty sound, almost like a twin, and I think that's exactly what they were going for. The only issue I've noticed with this and what other people have reported is when you're going at higher speeds, maybe, 60, 70, 80 miles an hour highway speeds at the higher rev ranges, there's quite a bit of buzz in the handlebars, so you feel some vibration. And to some people that might not matter too much, and for me it's not too noticeable because I don't do too many long distance rides. But I would suggest that you test ride this bike if you can, just to see if that's something that will bother you. Because while in the low rev ranges, it's super, you don't feel any sort of vibration or discomfort. If you're riding 3-4 hours on the highway to get to where you're going, that might get a bit uncomfortable. Alright, you got a nice big turn coming here. So the handling, as you can see, is really crisp. Really hugs the turns really nicely without falling into them. That's one of the issues with the bigger, heavier motorcycles. You might kind of fall into turns a little bit and have to fight your bike to stay up a little. This is not the case here. Even with the 21-inch front tire, thin front tire, it still handles really great, and I think it's probably due to the low center of gravity. So we're getting to some more fun roads here. So let me switch over to a sport mode. Close throttle to confirm. Alright, so we're in sport now. So it gives you a little more throttle response, a little more grunt lower down, and I'll show you a little bit of an acceleration once we get around this turn here. Alright, 2. We'll start at 1, just so you can get a full idea. Alright, you ready? Let's go. That is fun. Alright, get on the brakes, nice and easy. I'm going to stop talking a little bit so I can focus. We got some nice turns so you can kind of see what this bike does here. Of course, we've got a ton of bicyclists, as always, so maybe I won't be able to show you exactly what we're doing here. Alright. Let's try this again. It really screams at higher revs. It is fantastic. Woo! Look at that. This is in a 1200cc, 550-pound ADV. This type of handling, this type of acceleration. This is a fun little bike. Got one of my favorite turns coming up here, so let's see what we can do with that. Look at this sweeping upturn. Put it in 1, get a little bit lean going. But yeah, you can see what I'm talking about. They made this a fun ADV bike. So really, you can make the argument that this could be your only motorcycle if you don't want to buy multiple bikes. Now I have a Ducati Monster 937 and I would not sell that and keep just the one bike, but they're obviously very different bikes. But if you're not in a position to have multiple motorcycles, this will give you that thrilling acceleration you want in a sporty bike, and then it'll give you the off-road capability of an ADV, and with the luggage capabilities and the comfort, you can take this touring. You can really do whatever you want with this motorcycle, and that is why I think it is the best in the ADV class. Now, I haven't done too many modifications to this. I put a little backrest on the back. I don't know if you can see that. And I would recommend doing that if you have passengers because the comfort's important. My wife freaks out every time I accelerate quickly because she's afraid she'll fall off. So that little backrest is enough to give her that extra comfort. The luggage that I got is the Triumph branded stainless steel panniers, and they are very, very good. 16-liter capacity in each. I could go with a back case as well, but I don't travel that much with tons of luggage, so I haven't needed it yet. Alright, let's see what we can do with this turn. bike. So once we get done this little stretch, we'll talk about some more of the features, but keep the talking to a minimum here and show you what it can do on the open road. Right. Yeah, that's a fun little loop. I really enjoy doing that. I'm going to turn right here and then tell you some great stuff about this bike. Alright, so we were talking about the electronics, we were talking about the engine, we talked about the triple, the firing order, all that stuff. The transmission. So it's got wet clutch, slipper clutch, and it's got a quick shift up and down. And this is the smoothest quick shifter I have had a chance to try. Very smooth between first and second gear, which is kind of where a lot of the quick shifters get clunky. And it's smooth all the way up through 6 and then all the way back down through 1. So if you're doing a lot of highway riding, accelerations, that quick shifter is super helpful. It turned into a nice morning. It was supposed to rain, but you got some sun peeking through, some lovely clouds, so yeah, it's always a good day to ride, isn't it? Another thing that really takes this up in the premium ADV class is the final shaft drive. So no chain on this bike, which is great because you don't have to worry about chain maintenance, cleaning, lifting the bike, although it does have a center stand, so, if you do need to work on it, that's a nice little feature. But yeah, shaft drive, very nice, especially if you're doing a lot of off-road stuff, because if you're off-road on a chain, that thing gets gunked up so quickly, you're constantly having to clean it. You don't want your chain to break, slip off, so the shaft drive really makes that fantastic option on this bike. In terms of the body, the windscreen is also great. It looks kind of small, but it really takes a lot of wind off your chest. Right now, I have the screen in the lowest position, so you get some better visibility of the road. But it's single-hand adjustable, so you can just yank it up with one hand while riding and change the trajectory of the wind depending on your body size and where you want the wind to be deflected. So you push it back down, adjust kind of where the wind buffering is on your helmet and kind of set it that way. So I'll just put it on the lowest right now just so we can see a little bit better. But yeah, that's a super feature, I think. They also changed how their radiators go. They have the vents on the side, so when I've been in traffic, it blows the heat away from your legs, and you're kind of shielded here when you're in the cockpit. So slow speeds, if you happen to go through traffic or through a city, it's very comfortable, even in hot weather. So they did a really nice job thinking about rider comfort when they were designing the radiator vents here. Some additional features that kind of give this some extra comfort. There's actually 2 outlets on this bike. There's one in the front near the dash, and there's one back here for the passenger. So if you're both plugging in heated gear or want to plug your phone in or do GPS, whatever, it is very accessible to both the rider and the passenger. So that's super. It also has heated hand grips accessible directly from the left grip. So there's 3 different settings, and really depending on the temperature you can set them. 2 and 3 are actually quite warm, so I would probably only use those when it's 40, 50 degrees out. Setting it on level 1 is really sufficient for me most of the time in any weather that's in the 50s. So last night I was riding and I set it to 2 and my hands were very warm through the glove after that, so great feature. One thing that's really strange to me actually is this bike is, wired for a heated seat option, and that option is actually standard on the Tiger 900. So it's strange that they made it standard on the lower CC bike and didn't decide to go with the heated seats on their kind of flagship 1200 model. Although from what I remember the dealer saying, the heated seat aftermarket from Triumph is not particularly expensive, but still, on their flagship bike, I would have liked to see all the bells and whistles. So yes, heated seats are available and not standard on the 1200. So I may do that in the winter depending on how I feel, but So yeah, this could be an excellent motorcycle for cold weather climates, especially if there's not too much snow or ice in your area. There's a lot of wind shielding on the knees from the body paneling. The hands are shielded. I mentioned the heated hand grips, the heated seats. Really, I think you can use this all year round, and I plan to use this in the winter because I'm definitely not riding the Monster. Let's see, let's drop it down a little bit, do another quick pull. Alright, let's go. Let's do it. Alright, that is exciting stuff. That 1200 really screams. It is fantastic. Now in terms of rider comfort, this is a very upright seating position, but your feet aren't forward, so I think that the knees are a little bit back from neutral. So kind of comfortable and sporty at the same time. So if you need to lean a little bit and do some maneuvering, it's really accessible. But if you're doing longer distances, it is upright enough for complete comfort. And the handlebars are straight, pretty level with your elbows, so I haven't noticed any sort of shoulder fatigue. Seats are large, they're well padded, the passenger seat is very cushioned, and it comes with standard grab bars in the back for your passenger for extra safety stability. Oh, look at that. Got some horses out. Really enjoy the area. Tons of animals, farmland around here. It's a lot of fun. Alright, so we're going to go on this road here, which I always like. See what else we can look at. Oh, look at that. They planted a ton of wildflowers around here. That is beautiful. It's a really nice area here. Always like the bridge with the little river underneath. The planted flowers here. It's a really nice touch. Alright. So this, I think, might be a good time to just kind of summarize the pros and cons. I'm going to be doing a full sit-down review at some point, really giving you the numbers, the specs, everything that you might want to look at, giving you a full comparison with the BMW 1250 GS, which I think is really the primary competitor at this size. I mean, you've got a ton of options, honestly. You have Harley, Honda, that all make good large ADVs that have good track records. But I do think this is probably one of the best on the market right now. The main pros, they redesigned the body, they dropped a ton of weight, they made this agile, they made it sporty, they made it easy to maneuver. So just a really fun motorcycle to ride, and I feel like it can do everything you ask of it. It can accelerate, it can turn, it can corner. They just made it a ton of fun to ride. The electronics package is fantastic with the Bluetooth connectivity, the 7-inch color display, the suspension, which is electronically adjustable. The comfort on that suspension is fantastic, and you really get a lot of personalization with your custom rider mode, where you can tailor suspension, ABS, traction, all of that. The off-road riding modes are fantastic, easy to access. And the upright comfort and everything about this bike feels very high class. Now, some of the cons that I've noticed while owning this bike for the last 4 or 5 months. Again, I mentioned earlier that it does feel a little buzzy at highway speeds in the handlebars. Really depends on your comfort level and how easily you get annoyed by something like that. So it's worth test riding this bike to see if that's a deal breaker or not. For me, it's not a deal breaker because I don't do a lot of extended highway riding. I usually prefer to keep it to back roads like this, even if, oh, look, a little deer. Even if it might take me a little bit longer, I still prefer to do these lovely roads in the back. Oh, look at that little single lane bridge here. So another con is the tires that it comes with. It comes with these Metzler Carews, which are a hybrid on-road and then light off-road tires, so primary on-road. And they are somewhat knobby, so whenever I go over 60 miles an hour, they kind of sing, and there's this hum to them. And it does get a bit annoying, but that's something that, you know, can be addressed at your first tire change. You can always change your tires out depending on what type of riding you do. So if you're only doing paved roads, only doing highways, you can pretty much go with a street tire for more comfort. If you're doing more off-road, you can buy several sets and change them out. You can go with a hybrid for your everyday riding, and then go with a true off-road tire for your off-road days. But you know, the tires handle well in the settings that I've used them in, and you know, on the roads they turn well, and on off-roads I haven't had any issues on gravel and sand, but I haven't done any sort of beaches or mud or anything of that nature. So really, you'll have to let me know what kind of results you've had on these tires if you're able to take them any more aggressive off-road. Overall, very happy with my purchase. I did test drive the BMWs, and this is kind of more maneuverable, more fun, and kind of fits more into my riding style, because I do like going around curves. I like going a little fast. See if this guy can pass without hitting me. Alright, there it is. So, anyway, just wanted to give you a quick review, take you for a quick ride so you can see what this bike can do. I'll come out with a sit-down review, give you more numbers, nitty-gritty, all that stuff, but I thought this would be a fun thing to do. So if you like the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, where I'll be posting a ton more fun content. And let's keep riding. See you later.